Hey book friends, I hope you're doing well. So I heard from a little birdie that you're trying to get into reading or get out of a reading slump, and I'm here today to help you do that. Hi, my name is Allie. I'm a 17-year-old teen author and I've written 4 books, so I think I'm pretty qualified to tell you book recommendations, maybe. I don't know. I'm reading for quite a long time, so I know how this process goes. Basically, I have been going back and forth with reading lately just because I read a lot when I was a very little kid, and then I started writing books, and then I stopped, and then I started writing again, and then I started reading again, and I literally went back and forth and back and forth. So here are all of the books that helped me get back into reading, but then also helped me through those reading slumps that I've experienced through my 17 years of life, which is not a long time, but you get the point. If you want to go check out any of the books that I've written myself, including the Sunaway Sets, which I actually just published last month. That will be linked in the description below. It's a summer murder mystery. It takes place on this little island off of the coast of Florida that I created myself. And it's based off of a relationship, and the main focus is around the boyfriend and the relationship. According to all of my readers, they have loved it. So if you want to go check out that book, it will be linked in the description, and you can also check out the summary on Goodreads. All right, so I have a really big stack of books, but then I'm also going to be going off of other books that I've read that I just don't have with me. So we're gonna go step by step. Most of these books are romance and mystery. I'm also gonna be including some more children's chapter books because they were some books that got me into reading. So we're gonna be going over that as well. Most of these books are young adult mystery and romance. So just be wary of that before you go read this book if you are a younger teen. Okay, let's get started. So the first book that I have on this list is one of the books that I read at the very end of the summer, and that's called Happy Place by Emily Henry. I got this book literally just because it was popular. So I saw it on TikTok. I knew that it was very popular, and I was like, you know what, maybe if a lot of people like it, then I'll read it. And at the beginning, it was hard for me to get into it, but I ended up really liking it at the very end. Basically, this book is about this group of friends that they go to this house every year, and it's the house of one of the friends' family owns this house, and they go every year. There's a relationship with 2 of the characters in this friend group, and then they're supposed to be like getting married, but then they break up and no one else in the friend group knows. But then they go to this house and they're basically like fake dating this whole time. And it's really cute because you kind of get to see what their own relationships are like, but then how they are as a person, like without the other one. It is a romance, but I feel like honestly it's more of a coming of age type of romance, because even though while they are in their 30s, they're still kind of trying to find themselves and figure out what they want to do with the rest of their lives and who they want to be with for the rest of their lives. So if you're into that type of romance, you should definitely start reading this book because it will probably get you out of a reading slump or get you into reading. So the next book I have is more of a children's book in a way. So if you're more on the younger side or like early teenage years, you should definitely read this book because it's literally one of the books that got me into reading originally. So that's The Thing About Jellyfish. I love this book and it doesn't give enough recognition. I have recommended this book so many times to all of my younger readers, and literally every single one who has read this book has loved it. I've gotten so many comments, so many emails from people saying, you recommended The Thing About Jellyfish and I loved it. It's so amazing. So even if you're in your 20s, this book is still amazing because basically what happens is there's this girl, I forget her name. Her name is Susie. Basically, she has this thing for jellyfish, and one day she basically wakes up and she hears that her best friend had drowned while on vacation, and she's trying to navigate life without her, but then navigate actually how her friend had impacted her negatively and positively. Basically, again, like the other book, this is a coming of age story, but you really get to know the character because she starts going through grief and puberty and how it's like to become an adult even when you're such a young child. And honestly, this was probably my first ever 5-star read. It's been given so many book awards, but for some reason, no one knows about this book. And I recommend this book to anyone, especially my younger readers who are just getting into reading. You need to read this book because honestly, it changed my life. And if I haven't read this book, then I probably would not be a writer. I know I'm saying that, you might not believe me, but I'm being dead serious. This is probably one of the most beautiful books that I've ever read, and I stand by that. The next book is a book that I'm currently reading, but I love it so much that I need to add that. So this is called The Boyfriend, and I found this at Target actually because they didn't have the book that I wanted. So I decided that I was gonna go look into mystery books because I'm a mystery writer. This book is amazing, I have to say. It catches you. The summary is about this single woman who's in like her late 30s, and she lives in New York City, and she's just having trouble dating. She just can't find someone she likes. There's so many issues when she dates someone, and then somehow suddenly her best friend is murdered in her apartment. Right after she dies, she has this new love interest. There's something off about this new love interest, but she loves him so much and she can't figure out what's happening and what this guy's past is like. And it's so amazing. I haven't read mystery in a very long time because I've been more into romance, but this book is getting me back into it because it is romance, but it's more on the thriller and mystery side. It's a great book. It's the first book that I've ever read by this author. Her name's Freda McFadden. Never heard of her before, but this book is amazing. If you like crime themed books, you need to read this book because it's getting me back into mystery. Now, if you're more onto the romance side, and you've probably heard this book before, I've said it a million times also, and that's Wild Love by Elsie Silver. I honestly didn't want to read this book originally because I don't like reading popular books because I feel like they're not good, but I decided to give this one a try and I loved it. Basically, there's this billionaire that lives in this small town and he is not married, but then someday while he's in his office, he gets a knock at the door, and at the door is this somehow biological daughter, and he has to figure out, while this is happening, he's meeting with his best friend, and his best friend's sister ends up coming to town. He falls in love with his best friend's sister, but they're kind of like enemies at the same time. Like, they don't really like each other, but over the course of the weeks that they're together, they end up falling in love, and I think it's so cute. I don't really understand the biological daughter part of this. I feel like it was really, really random, but it was such a cute book, and if you like romance, this will definitely get you out of a slump or into reading if that's what you want to start reading. Now, these two books that I have for you right now are part of a series, but I read the first one as a standalone, not knowing that it was part of a series. And this is the first 5-star read that I've had in quite a long time. It's literally phenomenal. And I don't say that often. I don't say that I've read a phenomenal book that often, but these books were phenomenal. That's The Perfect Marriage and The Perfect Divorce by Geneva Rose. First of all, beautiful covers. These are both of the collector's editions from Target. I didn't know they were collector's editions, but they're gorgeous, as you can tell. They're thrillers or mysteries. And basically, if I can remember, because I read this quite a few months ago, basically, so the main character, her name is Sarah, and she's a lawyer. She's been having some issues with her husband. She just feels like the spark isn't around anymore. And then one day she gets home and she finds a random woman dead in her house, and she can't figure out what's going on. Now, her husband is the immediate suspect, and she finds out that her husband was actually cheating on her the whole time during their marriage. So they're just trying to figure out who actually killed this woman, and was it her husband? But then it all gets crazy when she becomes the lawyer of her husband's case. It's insane. And then there's the second book, which talks about the divorce. And then apparently there's a third book coming out that I don't know what it's called yet, but it's very interesting. These books, honestly, are the best books that I've read in quite a long time. I think about them quite literally every other day. If you are a regular reader, if you're trying to get out of a slump, or if you're trying to get into reading mystery books, you need to read these books. This one is the first one. This one is the second one. Please go read The Perfect Marriage. It's amazing. I rated it 5 stars, and as a mystery author, you need to read it. So that's all I'm saying. And then if you're also into mystery books, I am, of course, going to recommend one of my own mystery books. It's called What Went Wrong Last Summer. And while it looks like a romance book, it's actually a mystery book. And I feel like that's my theme. Like, I love disguising my books as romance books, but they're actually murder mystery books. What happens is there's this group of friends and they live in New Hampshire. And every year, like clockwork, they go to their vacation house in Block Island, Rhode Island, every single year. But this year, their mom just got a promotion and they just can't get their parents down to this beach house. So their parents let them go to this beach house alone at like 16 and 17 years old, which is kind of crazy, but they do it and they're having so much fun. But for some reason, they start hearing that there's a bunch of crimes happening at this vacation house around it. They don't think they're going to be targeted, but they end up being targeted. Someone ends up stalking them, but they don't know who it is. Basically, this whole book explains all of that and what happened. Just came out with a brand new cover. So it will be a link down below. And then if you also want to go read that summary more into depth, you can also go look at it down below because I'll put the link there. Now, this is a book that I haven't read in literally 4 years, but I'm gonna say it anyway because it got me out of one of my reading slumps, and that was The Inheritance Games. I think it was the Green Book. I forget what they're called, but I know the Inheritance series was amazing. I absolutely loved it, and I hear so many other people saying that it got them out of their reading slump, so I'm gonna go look up the summary just because I kind of forget what it's about. So basically, the main character is named Avery. One day, she finds out that she inherited literally like $1 billion from some random person, and she ends up like, I think it's like she ends up moving into this house that has a bunch of brothers living into it. Basically, there's a whole game that she needs to play to get this money, and it's insane. And then there's also a bunch of secrets that go into this family. So that's all I need to say, just because it's a trilogy, I believe. That one is also a great book because the author, who's Jennifer Lynn Barnes, I believe she's a professor somewhere in like Ohio, so she works on this for a day-to-day basis. This book is amazing and the whole series is amazing. So if you're trying to get into reading, I highly recommend that book because it was very popular on TikTok back in like 2022 and it's still very popular, so I would definitely go check it out. Sorry, the sun is like in my way. I'm gonna try to move this. I literally can't see. Sorry for the sun, guys. It's literally blinding me, but we're gonna work with it. I might have to shut my window. I always get comments from people asking me where you can buy these books. So all of these books you can buy on Amazon, and then all of the books that are not my own, you can buy on Barnes & Noble and probably any bookstore that you can find. My own books are only available on Amazon just because that's where I publish them from. Because the sun is insane, I'm gonna be holding the camera, so thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any other book racks that you can put down below, that would be amazing because I know I'm trying to find book racks, and then I know so many other people are trying to find more book racks as well. These were just all the books that I've read personally. Again, if you want to purchase any of my books, such as The Sun Always Sets, that will be linked down below. If you also want to go check out any of my other social medias for more book racks, you can go click the links below because they'll send you right to my other social media accounts. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye!